Gail, we appreciate you being here today. I love all the things that you have accomplished. So tell us a little bit about what are you doing today besides this fantabulous book that you have right here?
So as of this year, as of 2022, I actually closed my business, Massage and Spa Success, because it was just time for the next step, the next version of Gail. So I'm focusing on my Dream Life Design programs, online business, teaching people who want to start and have an online business, some of those skills, and just really helping people to develop the skills and the habits that it takes to create a life where you're in charge and you're not just reacting to what's going on around you.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations, and congratulations on everything that you've done. You just seem like you've been a go-getter from the get-go. So I got to say again, hats off to your mom. Kudos for a mom and a dad that would raise a young lady to just be so ambitious and go after what she wants. So let's just jump into this because I love this title, right? Living your dream life. How does a person even start actually actualizing? Because I love taking women from what's probable to what's possible to what's manifestable, right? How can we actually manifest these dreams in our dream life?
Well, I think the first thing is to really get clear on what it is that you want your life to look like, and not like some special day when you're on vacation, but your day-to-day life. When you wake up in the morning, what do you want to see? What do you want to do first? What kind of house do you want to live in? What does it feel like? And just really getting specific, because I think that a lot of the things we think we want come from outside of us. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing it on TV, and we're seeing it in magazines. We're like, oh, well, it'd be awesome to have a BMW. It'd be great to have, a big fancy house. But then if we really get down to it, everybody wants different things,
right?
And so figuring out really what is your dream. Do you want to work part-time so you can be in your garden more? Do you want to live in a cabin out in the woods? And then once you really have a clear picture of, okay, this is what I would like for my life. I want lots of time for my family. I want enough money in the bank that I'm not stressed out all the time. I want a house that's, a lot of us just want clean and comfortable. We don't need big, huge, spacious houses. It's like, what do you really want? And once you figure that out, it's really easy to start getting some parts and pieces of that right away and have something.
I love in your book how you mentioned, after getting that clarity, just kind of taking that, also with the questions, how you add, not just what do you want, but why do you want it? And I think that's a big, huge thing. So tell us, why is that important to even ask ourselves? So why do we want it? I mean, sometimes we figure it's what I want. But
yeah. Why? Well, a lot of times when we think about why we want something, we can realize, oh, it's not the thing that I want. It's the feeling that I think that thing is going to get me. So if we use the new car example, and, well, I want this brand new car. Well, why? Because if you start listing the reasons why, then I won't have to worry about my car breaking down. It'll be under warranty. It'll be nice and clean and have that new car smell. It'll make me feel, like I've accomplished something to have something of this, level. But then it's like, okay, well, looking at all of these things, maybe we don't have to spend $50,000 on a new car to get those things, so, maybe it's just getting our car detailed and keeping it really nice, spending $100 a month on an extended warranty, because then we have those same qualities.
Right.
We often think that the qualities we want come in this package. And if we can't have that package, then we can't have the qualities that we want in life, and we will just might as well stay where we are.
Yeah.
but we can always get some of the qualities. I feel like, if you say, I want to have $50,000 in my savings account, but you don't even have a savings account, it's like just breaking it down. That's step one. Get the savings account, put $10 in it. Suddenly you're a person with a savings account. And that is will just change the energy of who you are. And you'll start seeing new opportunities to get some more money and put it in that savings account.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I like that, the why, asking yourself the what and then the why, and then starting with that one step at a time. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So the clarity, that's really the very first step right there. And then after we get that clarity and asking ourselves the what we want in all different areas, like you were saying, what do we want at home? And then what do we want maybe in our careers? And, what do we want spiritually? All those areas, what would you say the next step would be? Because your book mentions about small steps. And I love that, because that reminds me of Dr. King. He says you take the first step by faith, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to see the whole staircase. You just take that first little step.
Yeah, so exactly. Once you have that clarity, looking at those things and just thinking, well, what can I do now with the tools and the resources that I have?
Ooh,
to start in the direction that I want to go. And it might be as simple as going down to the library and checking out a book so you can learn more about, I don't know, traveling to the country you want to travel to, or starting your own business, or whatever it is that you want to learn about.
Yeah.
And, one thing will lead to another.
Right. Yeah. So, or even, do some Googling, because a lot of people Google stuff now, or, checking it out on YouTube, since YouTube is the second largest engine search here in the United States.
And setting some time aside to allow yourself to do that, to allow yourself to dream, and to look at those resources. Now, Googling and YouTube, of course, can be very distracting. So there's so much good stuff out there, but with it, there's also like 5 hours can go by and you'll realize you're looking at some totally different stuff. So that leads me to another, important piece of having a dream life is it takes discipline.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It takes self-discipline to, read the books and do the work and get to that place. So
yeah, that's a great quality, but that we got to be disciplined. But I think that comes with the why. I think when our why is big enough, it becomes so important to us that we get focused. We get that focus, like we are a horse running in a race. You know how they put the blinders on, where you stop seeing everything else on the side, like distractions don't matter, because this thing is so big, and this thing is building up so much so in my belly that I gotta make it happen no matter what, and then you don't even use the excuses of I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, maybe later, do things like that. So talk to us a little bit about what are some of the things that block us, from even starting to try to reach our dreams, because a lot of times we just like want it, don't even try.
Yeah, well, you just said two of them. We think we don't have time. We think, oh, it takes a lot of money and I don't have that. So again, we just think that it has to look a certain way or go in a certain order. But when we can just get that clarity. So the first thing that can block us is just not having clarity. Just kind of saying, well, I wish things were different, but we're not clear on how we wish things were different. So you can't go after something, it's like an example I've heard a lot is it's like saying, well, I'm not happy here, so I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive somewhere else. But if you don't know where you're going, well, somewhere else might be worse.
That's true, right? If you water your own grass, it'll stay green.
Yeah. But if you know where you're going, if you're like, okay, I'm in Florida, I don't like it here, I want to live in Oregon, you can say, well, I know I need to head west. I know I'm going to need certain things for the journey, and it could take you, maybe it takes you 3 years to get there, but you still end up there.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that things have to happen so fast. And I mean, life's a journey.
Yeah.
And what we learn along the way is, half of the outcome.
Yeah, so that's just part of it. It's kind of like what we experience and what we learn. Okay,
Mhm.
so do goals play a big part in it for you when it comes to living your dream life? And then
Yeah.
And what about decluttering as far as being able to have clarity? Because is that part of it? Like what are some practical steps that they can do to get that clarity?
Yeah, I think decluttering is, I love decluttering because everything in our physical environment is a reflection of ourselves. We picked that thing out, we bought it based on who we were that day. And so when you can really look at your things and say, okay, well, this is something I liked 5 years ago, but it's not who I am anymore. And so I'm going to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's a huge energy shift, because as you let things go, you're getting more clear on what you want instead.
Right. Okay, so good point. But what would you say? Because sometimes people have trouble letting things go, even though they're like, I don't need it now, but it reminds me of a time when,
Mhm.
so that always keeps our brain going back to then. And I always say, look, if you're always looking back, either while life is moving on, you're gonna trip and fall, or
Yeah.
you're just gonna stay in the past, So what are your what do you say about that? Can't let go of
Well, it
stuff.
is. So decluttering is a process. And, sometimes we have things that are easier to let go of and things that are harder to let go of. There's a few questions you can ask yourself as you're decluttering. When's the last time I used this item?
Mhm.
Kind of a rule of thumb is if it's been more than a year, you're probably not going to use it.
Right.
And then the second one is, we have a lot of things that have memories attached to them. But, there's other ways to remember different times of our life. One thing I like to encourage people to do if they're having trouble letting go of some things is take pictures of your things. If you had a little outfit that your son or daughter wore and, it really does bring back good memories, you could take a picture of it. And most people will find that at some point they'll just delete those pictures, but it can kind of help you over the hump of getting rid of that. And, there's nothing wrong with deciding for yourself how much sentimental items you want to keep. We all like to have some sentimental things, and it's not like we have to be minimalist. So just looking at like, do I have room to store this? Maybe I'm going to keep one box for each of my children of special items that I like to get out and look through occasionally. So it's about just deciding for yourself, what's a good amount for you based on, really, I think one of the most practical things to base it on is how much room you have in your house.
Yeah.
We all have, if you have a big house with big walk-in storage closets, you can probably keep a little more stuff. But what are the reasons why you're keeping that stuff as well? So there's just a lot of different factors to it. So I find some things are easier to declutter than others. I always suggest people start in their kitchen, because we don't usually have a lot of sentimental attachment to our baking sheets and mixing bowls and things like that. And then once you kind of get into the habit of decluttering by working on some easier things, when you get to the harder things, you already have decluttering skills built up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So so we got some practical steps here, starting off with clarity. What do you want everything to look like in different areas of your life? So asking those questions, and then asking the why, why do you want this? And I love something you mentioned. I love is like we do chase after those feelings, our emotions, and which is just energy in motion. And so we got to determine, do we want to chase after the energy in motion, or do we want to accomplish something for a greater purpose than just ourselves? So what do you say to people who they want to really live an extreme dream life, and it's not necessarily about them, but they want to live something where they want to do something big that affects other people?
Mhm. Yeah. So, again, I mean, I think it's always back to those basic steps: clarity and getting started. If your big dream is to, I don't know, open a foundation or a charity or something along those lines, that's going to take some skills. What skills do you need to be able to do that? What kind of people do you need to have on your team? And how can you get started? I have a dear friend in Africa, Jean-Pierre, who was able to travel to the United States as a Mandela Washington Fellow. And he came to our town, to Boone, North Carolina, which is where I met him through my mother. And he went back home with a dream of helping people. Through the connections he'd made here in the United States, he was able to start his first project, which was he started a GoFundMe page to feed a holiday Christmas dinner to homeless youth in his area. But from there, he has built up a foundation by getting good advisors on his team, by getting people who are good at fundraising, but just seeing him taking each step and what he's been able to do in just 3 years has been just amazing. There's been a preschool built for 120 children. 60 or 80 girls with high school with scholarships to help them finish high school, and mentoring in an area where most girls don't finish school at all. And then it all started with him seeing these children that were hungry and starting this emergency food program, but then looking at, what are the causes of this and addressing those. So yeah, he's just such a good example of somebody that had a dream. People told him, you won't be successful. You should stay in the United States. Don't even come back here. And he stuck with it. And he's a great example of somebody who keeps going. And that's something else I found in my life. I mean, starting businesses, writing books, there are so many days when I want to quit, where I just I don't want to do it. I want to go watch Netflix.
Right.
And you know how it is when you work from home, you're always choosing, because it's not like I drive to a job and I'm there for 8 hours,
Right.
So I think that, that commitment again, and that discipline, and just keeping your eye on your big dream, not giving up, because there will be so many days where you want to give up and people will tell you can't do it. I remember even my husband, when I was building my online business, saying why are you doing this? He wasn't trying to be unsupportive, but he was just it seems like it's making you miserable. And I was because I think I can, and I have this big goal and this big dream. So, it takes a certain amount of just stubbornness.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's great, because we do need that commitment, and we do need that fortitude. And I love making it bigger than just, you and, well, I say you and your 4 and no more, meaning just your household. But it's good to have, so when you were saying that your friend John did, and he started off in faith with that one thing. So it doesn't always you don't always have to have all the money, or you don't have to always do all the parts. You don't always have to have all the know-how. But just starting that one part in my faith, and then you got to have confidence to speak to other people. So I would definitely say, if you don't have confidence to tell somebody else, you know, your dream or what you want to accomplish, and because when you do that, you put it out in the atmosphere, then you attract those people that want to help support you, you know,
Yeah.
because I believe, look, we're all a part of a big puzzle, but we all have these little pieces, you know, we all need to be put in our little places so that everybody can meet their part. And then this one big puzzle comes together and then it's beautiful. You know,
Mhm.
like you were saying, he started off and he just wanted to feed the hungry children in the kitchen. And then it, you know, it came up to be a school and all kind of things, you know, are grown from that. And who knows where it's going to go next. But
Yeah.
one thing you do know is that you help change somebody else's life. So just finding a need, helping meet somebody else's need, and not just concerned about your own need, and being grateful for what you have, and you know, like you're saying in the beginning, what working with what you got, and
Yeah.
then just take that step by step, and then things can happen from there. So that's encouraging, and we want everybody to be encouraged to start with where you are, and build from there, right?
Mhm.
Keep going, don't stop, even though you
Yeah.
may
And
be
we all,
tired or
of course, everybody has, we all have things we're good at and stronger in, and then we all have things that we're not so good at that we can, but those are skills that we can learn or get help with,
yeah.
and just keep building and growing.
Yeah. And I would definitely, you know, want to say that it's good to do the part that you're passionate about, because when you're passionate about it, so there's something that keeps that drive going even when you're tired and you're passionate about it, and then you have this big why of this is why I'm working on this. This is what I want to accomplish, you know. And
Yeah.
so tell us, like, so they can have a practical example of what was your why behind, why did you even want to do business online and close down all these physical locations, which turned out to be the greatest thing ever. But you know, like, but you know, nobody knew that COVID was going to be happening, especially when you did what you did. So what was your
Yeah.
why?
Well, I think it was really personal. I just wanted a change of lifestyle. I had a teenager and a toddler, and working outside the home full time, I was getting burnt out, and I was getting sick because I was just burning the candle at both ends. And I just thought, I started seeing people publishing these ebooks and doing these online classes. And I was like, hey, I think I could do that too. And I just really, like, one of my core values is freedom. I don't want, I don't like being tied down to a schedule, to a boss, to anything like that. So it just seemed like a way to have even more freedom. And it just seemed like a challenge. I love a challenge. I was like, I'm just going to see if I can do this or not. And my intention was never to be online full time or to write books. It was just like, maybe I can teach some classes and cut back on my day job and have another income stream coming in. And so, but step by step, it just led where it led. So it was just that little seed was planted, like, hey, people are making money online. Maybe I could do that too.
Yeah.
Maybe that I could work a little less and,
right.
Have a little more money. And that was really where it started. For me, just wanting a different lifestyle. I volunteered at my daughter's school. When you have kids, the more time you can be with them, the better. So that was my why.
Well, that's good. That's a big why too. And then you have some proof in the pudding. It's like, if you see other people can do it, then that's, I believe that God is not a respecter of persons. And so if one person can do it, he'll do it for you as well. So if that's something that you guys decide you want to do, go for it. Why not? Go for it. But go for it with everything that you got. Don't just start it when it gets hard, then stop or quit or give up. So what are some things that you can suggest other people would do when because you're gonna have days where you tired, you don't want to get up early and do different things, or you don't want to stay up late and do different things. So what would you suggest they need to put in place to keep them going,
Well, I think one thing that's really important, and I think you talk about this a lot too, is self-care. So, if you're going to be a, highly motivated person, you really do have to take care of yourself. So sometimes just taking that day off and doing, thinking what would fill my cup today? What could I do to take care of me? And then when your cup's full, reconnecting back to that why, you'll have filled your tank back up to have energy to to do extra. Like today, it's Saturday and I have some work to do, but I'm going to take the whole afternoon off and treat myself to lunch at my favorite restaurant and wander around some secondhand stores and look for treasures.
Awesome. Awesome.